What up, y'all? So, wanted to say, first off, hope everyone's having a fantastic closure to their work week. Yeah, I hope everyone's having just a great day. It's finally sunny, it's warm outside, and getting spring fever again. So, wanted to hop on here real quick. Have had a couple conversations with some folks today, and then relating to some research and some stuff we shared in our last workshop that I think opened up a lot of eyes and gave a lot of clarity to some things for some folks. So I thought I'd hop on here and help out in those regards and share the same thing to you guys. So essentially is on the sense of conventional dieting literally does not work long term, okay? Because I know I'm gonna have some people hop on here of like, yes, it does. It's worked for me several times over my lifetime. Well, yet again, the whole point of what I'm about to share shows that long term it does not, and it actually might cause more detriment. All right, so conventional dieting practices do not work. All right, so this comes from a study that was published in the Journal of Journal of the American Psychological Association. All right, now the author of the study, Tracy Main, and her co-researchers from UCLA. Set out to answer the question and find out what happens to people on diets long term. Okay, so for most research that gets published, a lot of the research goes 30 to maybe 90 days. Not usually very long past that, just because there's a lot of monetary restrictions on those things, time restrictions, data, and all those kind of things that go into it. So very rarely do you see long-term studies get conducted. Well, her research team performed one of the most comprehensive and rigorous meta-analysis studies ever conducted in this field. Okay, so what her and her team did was essentially analyze 31 different tests and tests. 31 different studies. All right. Now, basically, that every test that they did had to last between 2 to 5 years in duration, and monitored thousands of people during that time frame. Okay. Now, the researchers did confirm. Okay, now the researchers did confirm that conventional dieting practices, what I'm talking about here is calorie restriction, restrictive practices, basically compartmentalizing food and doing all the things that under normal dietary practices of what we tend to see. Okay, now what the researchers found that is the first 6 months actually did the participants on average lost between 5 and 10% of their body mass, okay, from their initial body mass. All right, so initially 6 months into it, the participants did see some change and did see some results. But what they sought out to find is what happens long term. And so what they found is those same participants over the next 4 to 5 years gained all the weight back, and actually in most cases gained more weight. Okay, the majority of the participants, they estimated about 2/3 of them, and they actually indicated that because of the manner in which the data was collected, that number might even be on the low side compared to where it would have been if the data was collected under a little bit more rigorous elements. All right, so given the way that the data was collected, researchers feel that the data regarding weight gain could have actually been much worse. All right, so again, over the course of 4 to 5 years later, those same subjects gained all the way back, and actually majority of them put weight on. Okay, now a couple of the studies, in fact several of the studies, were so overwhelmingly showing that data that research concluded that dieting under conventional methods is actually a more consistent predictor of future weight gain. Okay, so what they are saying there is the researchers, by looking at the data, could basically predict whether or not a person that was following a conventional dieting measure or method was going to gain weight in the future. It was actually a better measure of whether or not they were going to gain weight in the future. All right. And lastly, one study found that both men and women who participated in formal diet and weight loss programs gained significantly more weight over a 2-year period than those who did not participate in a weight loss program at all. All right. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you guys, because I know for so many of you guys, you join this group because you're seeking that type of change, right? Like you're seeking that type of shift in your life. All right. Now, the reason why I want to share that with you guys is because first off, the people that I've shared that with and the people that we shared that with in our last workshop, I think that empowered them to show them that they're not alone and it's not necessarily their fault. And it's the same thing if that strikes a chord with you, it goes for the same thing. This is proven that conventional calorie restriction and restrictive dieting practices does not work. This is literally the largest meta-analysis that has ever been conducted for test subjects for a 2 to 5 year period after conducting these things, and it was a better indication of future weight gain. All right. So, because I know for so many of you guys out there that are so meticulous and so just obsessive about measuring and weighing and calorie counting and everything else, when it's literally proven not to work. Okay. So, the reason I want to share this with you guys is first off, in order to solve a problem, you got to solve it from a different level, right? And in order for you to get a different answer, you got to ask a different question. Well, if we're going to continue to try to solve the problem via the measures that constantly get thrown at us via diet culture, via, the gurus out there that are going to all of a sudden transform everything by the same methodology, but they're just calling it something different, is not going to work. All right. Now, what we want to help understand, you guys, is the reason why we feel that traditional and conventional diet practices do not work is, for one, they restrict your biology. Okay. And what we mean by that is when we cut calories like Crazy Eddie out at the car lot who's trying to sell cars like crazy, at some point, your biology is going to win, all right? And for so many of clients that I've seen of coming through of, well, it's not working, so I'm gonna do it harder, right? It's not working, so maybe it's just me and I'm not doing it good enough. Well, no, the reason why you constantly find yourself hitting the reset button is, for one, on a biological standpoint, your body needs certain nutrients and certain nourishment for you to survive. Okay, like that's literal. Like if it doesn't have those things, you're not going to be here. And so when you finally open up the gate, this mouth, all of a sudden the brakes come off and we start over consuming because it's a biological need. The other part of that is it works against your psychology. All right. So food is not just food. All right. I will fully own the fact of me as a coach, years ago, before going through my own understanding through this, would preach food is fuel, it is macronutrients, it is calories, it is all the things that we get, formally sold. But I've come to understand of like, well, if that was true and if it was only carbs, macros, and the nutrients and all the other things it provides to you, why do we celebrate it why do we use food as a celebratory thing, right? Like at graduation parties, why do we have barbecues? At birthday parties, why do we celebrate with cakes? At anniversaries, why do we do certain things? When we go meet friends with food and drinks, why do we do these things, right? Because food means more than just the calories and the nutrients it provides you things. Yes, it attributes those things from the cellular level, everything that you are comprised of is made from what you consume. But also, what you interpret and how you interact with those things also determines the chemicals in which how those things are absorbed and how they are distributed into your body. All right. So food, food is unique in its nature of not only do we need it on a survival mechanism, but it also allows us to meet our need for certainty, meet our need for uncertainty or variety, meet our need for significance, meet our need for love and connection, meet our need for growth, and meet our need for contribution. And so if we don't allow ourselves to look at how that plays roles in our life, and we simply just look at it as carbs, fats, proteins, cutting calories, doing those kind of things, we're always going to be doomed to fall into these categories of what the 31 different studies across thousands of people across 2 to 5 years is showing, right? And so it's proven. It's not just a matter of whether or not you have more dedication or more determination or more willpower or all the other stuff that goes out there. It's literally on the sense of, you guys, this is proven to show that it doesn't work. And so in order to solve a problem, you got to solve it from a different area than what it was caused. Okay. Einstein discovered that years ago. All right. So perhaps if this, and the reason why I want to get on here, because perhaps for a lot of you guys is I've been doing this a very long time. I've worked with thousands of clients, and the overwhelming sense that I get so often is I'm fed up. I'm tired. I feel powerless. I don't have, I feel like I'm doing all the things. I'm doing all the things that, my neighbor or whoever is doing, and I'm just not seeing the results. Well, perhaps it's time to do something different. Okay, perhaps it's time to understand that it's not just you. There's the system isn't set up to work. If it was, this research would not be available and would not be published. All right, so if you're unaware, next week we are starting a new version of our program. Okay, it's going to be a 12-week program that's going to deep dive and go into all of this. Okay, not just understanding food from a understanding of at any phase of your life you can implement these things and understand like why metabolically food does certain things in your system and how they react and everything else, but more importantly allow you to understand of like at any phase of life you're not held by the collars and the grasps of having to follow the restrictive plan that is shown not to work. All right, so if this hits home with you, if this strikes a chord with you, and this kind of lands with you, I want to invite you. This is my invitation for you to really take a look, see if it does hit home for you. Allow yourself to maybe do something different and allow yourself to empower yourself by seeing something from a different lens. So yeah, wanted to hop on here, share that, you guys. Appreciate y'all being a part of this group. And yeah, it's not just you, it's proven. So take care, you guys. Hope you have a great day. Happy Friday, and be safe out there.